I've always loved that poem by former Oregon Poet Laureate and World War II conscientious objector William Stafford, of blessed memory. I learned so much from his writing, both about the craft of poetry and also about living our faith in relationship to the earth. Stafford wrote elsewhere, "The world speaks everything to us. It is our only friend." In my first seminary class, Educating to Counter Oppressions, or ECO, each of us was encouraged to offer an opening ritual at one of our class sessions that we talked through with our instructor first. I was so excited to use the poem that Joanne just read in my opening ritual, and I shared it with Reverend Dr. Gabriella Latini, who read it and paused and said to me in her beautiful Italian accent with a voice full of gentleness, "I have some concern about you using this poem, Allison. What is the poem saying about darkness?" Such negative connotations reinforce the binary notion of light as good and dark as evil that we are trying to counter with our eco-philosophy here at Star King. So, I could have responded from a place of hurt. My professor dissed my favorite poet. And it did sting a little. Something I had been so excited to offer wasn't welcome. But I had come here to learn. And this was truly not something I had really thought about before. Because of that conversation, I started noticing all the places where light and dark, white and black were used as stand-ins in our language for positive and negative. It was everywhere, especially in a religious context. Reverend Dr. Ibrahim Faraj-Ajay, a key architect of Star King's Educating to Counter Oppression framework, he put it this way, quote, "The demonizing of the dark led to the war against women and their bodies and the Inquisition until the beginning of the dismantling of women's reproductive rights is connected to the masculinization of the healing industry, to the hardening of Western Christian religious dogma in Northern Europe, is connected to the demonizing of Judaism and Islam, to the destruction of the earth, to the mass killing of genderqueers and queers of all colors, is connected to the expulsion of the dark other from the body, i.e. the expulsion of Muslims and Jews from the very body of Spain, the African slave trade, the invasion of the Americas, Asia, and the Pacific Islands, where murdering of brown-skinned people, women, queers, etc., because they were considered to be like women, incarnations of evil, incarnations of unbridled lust. Like women, they were considered too connected to the body, to sex, and where the earth was destroyed because, like women, the earth was considered to be too wild, needing to be dominated. Like brown-skinned people and poor people, it too needed to be dominated and controlled. This interlocking vortex became reflected in our binary language, where all that was evil was dark, and vice versa. Yes, the dark other was soon seen not only as people with brown skin, but anyone who was other. People living with disabilities, poor people, Jews, Muslims, Wiccans, Hindus, transgender people, women, queers, etc. End quote. Ibrahim Baba was a Sufi sheikh, and in that tradition, when we speak the name of beloved dead, we honor them by saying who. So I invite, if you are willing and able, to join me in honoring the words and teachings of Dr. Ibrahim Faraj-Ajay. Who? Baba, we love you. I never met Ibrahim Baba, who became an ancestor before I came to Star King, and yet it is because of his teachings that most of the time you won't hear me using binary light and dark language. And while this is in part an honoring of that education to counter oppression philosophy I learned and embraced and adopted in my time at Star King, it's also a good practice for my brain to use more creativity and fewer tired tropes. I think it makes what I have to say more engaging when I do. And I still love A Ritual to Read to Each Other by William Stafford. The poem reminds us to be clear in our communication, to be careful who we follow, to know each other deeply enough that we might avoid triggering each other's trauma. In fact, the message of this poem calls me back to some of the very reasons why I avoid that light-dark binary in the first place. And even though Stafford ultimately uses darkness to symbolize danger, uncertainty, and being lost, being separate, yet there is a moment in this poem where he also recognizes the both and of darkness when he says, "And so I appeal to a voice, to something shadowy, a remote, important region in all who talk." At the heart of each of us, I hear him saying, there is something in the shadows, and it is important. It is core to who we are. It is what he appeals to inside of us to encourage us to be awake people, to live into our greatest clarity in an uncertain world where it is easy to get lost. What saves us from that lostness, he says, is a part of us that exists in the dark shadows within. The darkness holds not only uncertainty, but also wisdom. This is the lesson of the winter solstice. In winter, the darkness around us is deep. I saw that we have fewer than 9 hours of sunlight here in Washington today. For some of us, all this darkness can be a trigger for seasonal depression, and that is real. Please see your therapist. Take your meds and your vitamins. Call 988 if you are in crisis. And also, I want to offer you the possibility that in the darkness, there might be rest. In the darkness, there might be dreams that you can make come true. In the dark, maybe we can stop relying so heavily on our eyes and turn our senses within to our own bodies, minds, and spirits. Maybe there is beauty and hope in the dark too. One of the most sacred things that I think I've ever seen is something you can search up on the internet anytime you want to. It's the Hubble Deep Field, where scientists first pointed the most powerful telescope they had available at the very darkest spot in the sky, and they saw there in the dark the dim light of galaxies being born so far away it was a window into the distant past of the universe because it took that light so long to travel here. There is so much to find in the darkness. Sikh author Valerie Carr reminds us that it is not only the tomb that is dark, it is also the womb. At Star King, I learned that to love the goddess, I had to embrace the darkness of the womb, the darkness of the soil, the darkness of the starry night as generative, alive, luminous darkness, to use the words of Howard Thurman. After our candlelight Christmas service this Wednesday, our church office will be closed till the new year to honor that need to rest in the dark. I'll see you back here for worship next Sunday, but don't expect a lot of email follow-up from me or the staff, and you won't be receiving a newsletter. If something urgent comes up, you can text me. But I, too, need to rest in the dark for a time. I need to have some seed time, some cocoon time. I need to sit still for a moment, like the solstice sun. We all need that. Can you find some of that time for yourself this winter? I want to make some of that time here for you today. This morning, after service, I offer anyone the chance to choose to participate in a ritual of darkness and light. If you came through the main doors, you might have seen our evergreen spiral out there. When worship in the sanctuary is over, I'll head out there and light the candle in the center of the spiral. Then, one at a time, I invite anyone who chooses and is able to come and take an unlit candle and to walk slowly toward the center of the spiral. Then pause in the middle of the spiral for a moment before lighting your candle from that center flame. Holding your lit candle, slowly return through the spiral. This practice reminds us that it is good to go in the dark for a time. And at the center of the darkness, the light is reborn. Please do not rush through the darkness of this ritual. This is a ritual of both and. We need them both, the darkness and the light. And they are born from each other, as the turning wheel of the year teaches us this winter solstice morning. Amen, and blessed be.